Yo, welcome back to the Stuff for Whatever podcast. Your host, B. Quanchi here. Before we get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. And also watch and all that jazz. You can do it right here on YouTube. You can follow on Twitter for fun tweets and updates and all that. And I do stream gaming on Twitch. You can check that out as well. Have fun with the chat. Those streaming VODs also get uploaded back to YouTube, so full circle, be Quanchi on most social medias I'm on. And I usually have that in the about on the channel or in descriptions of videos, all that. So easy to find, but would like to have more of a community or at least more feedback and all that. I feel like I said on previous podcasts, but I feel like my whole mantra or my way of thinking with these things, whether it be YouTube or Twitch or whatever, is I'm just throwing spaghetti at the walls, but I'm having fun with it as well. So we've got a very special podcast for this week. I did want to start off with something kind of small that I just noticed. I haven't really been shopping on Amazon that much lately, and I accidentally opened up the Amazon app on my phone, and it popped with a message. I think this might be new, but you can't sign up for Amazon Prime on the app. That it has to be through the website. So I'm not sure if Amazon had some issues or lawsuits or formal complaints or something like that. Because I remember it used to be very easy to sign up for Prime. Almost a lot of people do it accidentally. I mentioned on an older podcast too, I used to work customer service for a credit card company, and that'll be a complaint we get. Like people think it's fraud or unauthorized use of the card that they get signed up for Amazon Prime. And yeah, it sucks. If it is something you really don't want or don't plan on using, even though you like shopping on Amazon. But like the thing is, like as a credit card company, like we can only do so much because like we look up their accounts, like oh, you done business with this merchant, this company, so we can't only say it's fraud. Like if you bought Amazon and you have other Amazon charges, we can't only say it's fraud. Like we usually have to refer them to Amazon, to the customer service and all that. And let's get to a billing dispute, but it's pretty much more on them and more like, hey, even though they didn't realize they clicked this or clicked that. Because sometimes it's very misleading too, like you don't realize like, oh, you're accepting the Prime membership with a tap of the phone. Oh, it might be a thing too, like little kids mess with the parents' phone and actually sign up for Prime, or I even hear stories like that. You see the news, like people accidentally, the child orders a bunch of stuff on Amazon or food from Grubhub or whatever. I thought it was kind of interesting is that change. And again, I'm not sure if there's any hot water that Amazon in. I'm not sure with the website too, but I feel like they make it too easy, or like they like, hey, sign up for Amazon Prime. I wonder if they still do it because they you also like if you do the trial, they'll like sign you up for the membership, but do the full year charge versus the month to month. Because remember, like getting customers complaining, oh, I got to charge like $120 from Amazon and stuff like that. Like, it's a year Prime membership, and we can't do much anything. But this thought it was an interesting thing that I noticed a change when I accidentally opened up the Amazon app. And one thing I wanted to mention, this is more like uploading stuff to YouTube, so I don't know if this is interesting at all. But I did get a copyright claim, and basically I just because like I said at the beginning, my gaming VODs from Twitch, I upload them to YouTube. So I recently did a stream playing the DuckTales game for SNES, and it got copyrighted. Like sometimes I see weird stuff as copyrighted, at least in my experience. Sometimes like, oh, it's shared. Sometimes like they claim all the monetization, even if it's a small fraction of the video. And sometimes it'll say, oh, you can't monetize this video because we claim it. I also get stuff from other content creators, like even if you don't plan on monetizing the videos, if the check or whatever that YouTube does, like if they do see, oh, they're using content that's copyright or claimed or whatever, then it forces it to be monetized. Like if someone didn't want ads on their passion project and stuff. I think Rice Pirate Mick, I forget his last name. I'm thinking of his alias, but he does the Blundset Vendetta, the Mick Lauer. That's who I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, but he's been doing the JoJo Bizarre Adventure Passion fan animation. He's been working for. Check it out, by the way. That came up. But I think some of the music he used get copyright claimed, and he didn't plan on having it monetized at all. But I guess it forces ads. But like my stream with DuckTales got copyrighted just because of the moon theme. The moon level has a really awesome song. I think people have been. I mean, had a good remix of that too, but it's weird. Like the claim was only 10 seconds. Like I played that level for a good couple of minutes. Like some of those games can be pretty short for the NES, but the moon level was, not a short level. And especially like just enjoying the music, but also with me talking and some of the video game sound effects. I think even sometimes like it counted as a cover, quote unquote. But it's like they claim 10 seconds, and also it's weird. The company they claim like they claim like it tells you the content in terms of like the name of the song in this case. So it's like DuckTales Moon theme, but they spelled DuckTales wrong. Like they spelled actual tail Tail. With DuckTales, it's like a pun, like story wise. So it's DuckTales Tales. So first of all, they named the content wrong. Either was a typo or they just completely misnamed it. I did a little googling. I guess some companies, at least one that did this claim, like does all these bogus claims, and it kind of sucks too. Like I heard, like I'm sure it's been resolved, but there was one like person who upload or the channel copyright claim like anyone that uses anime music, even though they don't own the anime music. So a lot of abuse with the copyright system with YouTube is that people who don't actually own the content, but they for some reason somehow got it registered that they own it. And then if you get copyright claim, you can dispute it, and if they don't, you can get like either deny it, have your video taken down. I think worst case is a strike, but don't think it'd get to that point unless like really, really push it. I'm not sure. Like just because you get a little tiny claim for a few seconds of a song doesn't mean you get a huge strike on your channel. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's in the most cases. But what I did, I just dispute it and I'm just waiting. And I think the thing is, like, a lot of these things, if you dispute it, they might just drop off. So if anyone's interested, I might provide an update with that, but nothing yet. I just put in the dispute saying, hey, it's fair use, it's gameplay, and all that. So we'll see. Because it's annoying, like, if it, like, even if they share or claim even a few seconds of the whole video, that kind of screws things up. I think it's just kind of abuse in terms of gaming the system and all that. And I really wish there was a way YouTube would have a way like, hey, I don't believe this company owns the copyright to this song, to this content. Like, kind of like strike down or crack down on companies or individuals or whoever who make these bogus claims and abuse the system just so they can gain monetization from other channels and all that. But my little complaint about YouTube and monetization. And I also want to mention just kind of a small tidbit. Because I did this kind of recently with my Steam account because I have a lot of games. I play a lot of games on Steam. I always forget this, but I was kind of like, oh, I'm bored and kind of checking that. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but like when you play games, you get a little inventory of those little virtual trading cards. And what you can do, you can put them for sale, even though literally it's like a penny. Like most of them are under a dime from what I put up on the marketplace, but they actually sell. So I guess a little advice is if you have a Steam account, play a lot of Steam, put those digital cards like in the marketplace. It kind of adds up. Like I don't think they even have $1 yet from what's been sold and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just like maybe a little advice to get a little money from the system. If people want those digital cards, then good for them. But yeah, been trying to make sure I form the habit because I think you get those card drops by playing like hours of each game or whatever. I think there's like limits too, but I just feel like, hey, that's a way to add a couple cents to your Steam wallet and maybe go towards a game in the future. Okay, and the next thing I wanted to talk about is the Bob's Burgers movie. Because I saw it last weekend, and it was actually the first time in a good while. I honestly can't remember the last movie I actually saw in theaters. I think one of the movies like one of the streaming services and all that, but I probably wanted to see it, so we went and saw the Bob's Burger movie, and I think it's pretty good. Like, if you like the show, you're going to like the movies. Or if you even like a lot of those animated kind of general adult shows, whatever, like on Fox or whatever. So, it's a pretty good time. Just, like other animated movies. I'm trying to think offhand. The only one that comes to mind is a Simpsons movie where like a long time animated series gets like a full motion picture. So, it kind of felt similar to that. Like, it felt bigger and all that. Yeah, so it was pretty fun, good time. It had, I think, all the voice actors from the show, so I think that's typical, but sometimes maybe it's like some, like, I'm just having flashbacks from like Nickelodeon's day when they would do movies like the Rugrats and stuff like that. But I think they usually get the original cast from the TV show. It's pretty good. One thing that kind of felt weird about the movie is I kind of felt like, oh, they have a higher budget, so they kind of like did more with the show, or with the movie, in a sense. Like one scene seemed kind of weird to me. It was because the movie is also kind of a musical too. Like they have some songs in it too, so there's a good musical aspect. But there's a moment where they see have a bunch of like the carnival workers or amusement park workers like singing and dancing. You almost feel like there's so much like dancing going around. Some of these characters all over the place. It almost feels like, okay, this is where we're gonna put the budget to the movie. So it's kind of weird to think that it was still entertaining. And all that, still a good time. But you can see like towards the second half, more like the ending climax, you can see some really good like animation. Like you're not gonna see this level in the show. Although I do have to say that's a pretty good animated show in terms of mainstream Fox cartoons. I haven't kept up too much with the recent episodes of Bob's Burger or even the recent seasons, but it feels like it's true to the show and all that. But I do have to say my biggest complaint, I'm going to try to stay out of spoilers and all that, but this like near the climax, near the second half of the movie, or third act, or whatever you want to call it, is that the bad guy kind of like threatens to like kill everyone, but he only has a crossbow and a one bolt, it looks like. And it's like all at mercy or whatever. Yeah, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but my whole time was thinking like, just rush him. Like they can tackle him down and all that, because it means if everyone dies, it's worth the risk. Like at worst, maybe the crossbow bolt will like get in someone's head and kill them, even though it might just like stab somebody in the arm or stuff like that. So if it means like everyone's gonna fucking die, just rush the guy. I was just thinking like rush the guy, but yeah, I feel like with Wild Burgers it does get too like actiony like that in terms of fights and stuff like that. That feels similar to like the episode with Felix with the. And I think when they first introduced Felix, it was something like that with an actual gun. But it's like, dude, if it means like y'all in a situation where all gonna die, then rush the bad guy. But pretty good movie. I recommend it if you like those kind of like more adult shows. Or I don't know. It's kind of weird because Bob's Burgers doesn't feel as adult as a show. Like, sure, it has its theme, but you have like the little adults kids too. Maybe not so much compared to Family Guy, but it is what it is. But I enjoy the movie. Okay, so this is another small like, not really too personal, but just kind of like what happened to me in the past week or so. And basically, I'm just talking about this because I'm like, am I the asshole in the situation? But like a while back, I was like I still use those apps. This is say Grinder because that's like the common one, even though I don't use Grinder. But like some guy messaged me and all that, and kind of like more for like a friendship, and maybe he seemed more genuine and all that. Because I don't want to get too much into like what I say in my profile and stuff like that, but it's been a good moment since I had anything romantic or otherwise, so making connections, so maybe he kind of sensed that. So okay, and what happened was during this time my phone's been having issues like with the charging and all that. It's like, okay, crap, now I have to get a new phone. All that in the time frame I get the phone. And what happens, because the specific app I was messaging him on, it doesn't save the messages like to your account. It only saves it to your phone. So if you like delete the app and reinstall it, or in this case get a new phone, you don't get all those messages. So there's like literally no way I can contact this guy again. And it was also kind of a couple days since the last message. It didn't really come much more. It wasn't really much of anything in the beginning because it's like a few messages. Like, oh great, oh well, I didn't like think too much of it because I wasn't really feeling too strongly in the beginning. I'll get to that in a bit too. But the thing with these apps too is that it's kind of like based off people who are nearby within a certain radius and all that. And it's not like too like doxing in a sense, like it's going to say this person's like lives on the street or anything like that, but pretty much besides like the global thing, which I think is a little kind of random in terms of like the grids they have, but pretty much generally you're talking to people who are nearby. And I wasn't seeing him on the grids, like, oh, okay. But I did one day find him on another app, because he used to, just to be more transparent or whatever. It maybe helps with the story, but I found him on another app and like, okay, the same guy, same picture. His profile pretty much says the same thing, so consistent. So I kind of like messaged him and explained like, hey, sorry, I got a new phone and just wanted to say hi. That didn't hear anything from him, no reply, which was funny because he seemed to reply back quicker the first conversation we had and all that. And it kind of got them weird vibes to, I don't know if this person like seeming fake or not genuine, because, I was, thinking like, hey, maybe this is could be a new connection, it could be a new friend, but some things in like the first conversation, like, I don't know, it kind of felt weird to me. Like he was saying, like he was honored that I messaged him back and stuff like that, and even said something like, feeling safe. Which maybe I don't want to feel like I'm digging too into that, because it could be like almost like the hippy dippy, like, oh, you can feel safe, be yourself, or if you need someone to talk to or stuff like that. So, but then I don't know, it feels like safe is like one of those like red flag words, stuff like that. Like maybe I've seen too many like documentaries or videos about cults and like how they tried to like manipulate people and stuff like that. And not to say I was in that situation or anything like that, but I think that gave me kind of a weird vibe too. So they didn't really like had strong like message back and forth up until I lost the phone, all that. Well, not lost the phone, but replaced my phone. So I kind of like felt weird, and I just, I will feel bad if I don't make an effort. Like if I, because I'm feel bad. Like I feel like that's one of my flaws, is that I stop making an effort when I feel like it's like very overthink things, and sometimes think like, oh, it's a one-way street, like maybe don't care as much as I do. It's like, at least I'll be the bigger person and message and reach out. I didn't hear anything from him. And this is also the thing, like, I only feel bad at this point because I was going to like message him one more time. Not because I completely like at this point checked out, but I messaged him like, hey, did I do anything wrong or say anything wrong? You haven't messaged me. And nope, no response. So like, okay, that does it. So kind of annoying, kind of a disappointing. Again, it's some kind of feel like someone might have been genuine, even though maybe they're not. Maybe just misunderstanding, because I guess from his perspective as well, since it was a big gap of time before I could message him back, maybe he felt like I ghosted him, or kind of weird, like, hey, I had to get a new phone. Hey, like, I don't know, like someone trying to play around or anything like that. But at least, like I say, like I did my part. And honestly, like when I would get a new phone, it was just literally a few hours, so it's not like he's messaging me back. So kind of makes me think of those memes too, like people, I feel bad for not checking on people, then I realize, hey, phones work both ways. So it's like, I think just like, since I actually made an attempt to message him and didn't hear anything back, I was like, okay, fuck this guy. So I don't know if that makes me the asshole or whatever, but a little complain about my personal life or anything like that. Oh well. The next thing I want to talk about is lately I've been having this really itch I've been scratching to watching 90s cartoons. Mostly Disney at the moment, a lot of Disney 90s cartoons. Maybe because I was watching the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger movie and that kind of sparked it. And I watched a little bit of that show Bonkers, but Dark Green Duck is the one I've been watching a lot too. I gotta watch the old DuckTales. I haven't seen the new DuckTales, but if anyone's a fan of DuckTales, it's on Disney Plus, not them like shelling out for Disney. But one of my favorite movies as a kid was the DuckTales, I think the Treasures of the Hidden Lamp. Let me look it up real quick just so I'm not misremembering. Okay, it's DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. So I definitely recommend that if you're a fan of DuckTales, especially older Disney cartoons. I mean, that was a kid, and kind of a segue, not as much Disney, but the Tiny Toons, the How I Spent My Summer Vacation. Those are just like big, like, even I think it was just like a home release. I just remember those movies being like, loving those as a kid. When I'm looking, I just did a quick Google search. I guess it maybe got box office because it said box office for the DuckTales movie. I don't remember that being really a big, because it was based off the cartoon show, but recommend that. But I've been watching those cartoons, and yeah, they've been fun. I feel like the humor is always there, but I think maybe just getting so like with cartoons today, especially watching a little bit since it's so much more mature content in terms of like themes and language and stuff like that. I feel like the humor is safe or tame. But again, these are like more kids cartoons. I think a lot of times they write these shows in minds of a kid audience. Although there's like some like one liner jokes I see more general, like there was even a joke about like taxes and stuff like that. But I think it still holds up. I think the animation is really good for something that was made for TV, like the Darkwing Duck one I've been watching a lot lately. So I feel like the animation is really good. But I wonder if it's true because I thought I remember hearing. I think they even referenced like in cartoons back then. I can't think of which one, but like they ship a lot of it to like Korea and they animate it a lot. And this is me being a stupid kid. Like when I was a kid, I thought cartoon was always animated by one person. I never really thought of it as like a team. Like the one who created the show did all the animation, but yeah, nowadays, like, well, probably back then too, like a lot of people animated like certain parts of the episode of storyboard. So for some reason, as a stupid kid, I thought like animate like there was only one animator and that's it. But it's a huge team and a huge effort. But I'm kind of curious how that changed through the years, especially if it was more traditionally animated versus like using digital tools like Flash or Toon Boom, whatever. I don't know too much about it, but I always find it interesting. And then one thing I wanted to get on with talking about cartoons, especially in the 90s, some things that kind of scared me. And they are like these are more Nicktoons. I know that some people talk about, oh, what kind of things in cartoon shows like messed you up when you were a kid or gave you nightmares. I have to say, like, on mostly like Nicktoons, although I can think of a few examples. I just want to say in this, in case someone's like, oh, I thought that too, comment below. But I remember Doug, one episode that, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, like, it didn't like scared me, but at least made me more uncomfortable. There's two instances. I think the episode, like, Doug was, like, very insecure about his big nose because it was, like, picture day. And then, like, he had a little daydream or nightmare or something like that, that he was, like, showing Patty a picture, his school picture, and then, like, the nose pops out of the picture and, like, pokes her in the eye. He goes, oh, my eye. And then, like, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all that. For some reason, that made me really uncomfortable. And I think, in terms of scary, like, there was one episode, like, he was playing in his backyard with a baseball bat and a baseball. He hit the baseball across to the neighbor, the Dinks, and actually hit the expensive grill and broke it. And he had, like, daydream telling Mrs. Dink that he broke his grill. Then Mrs. Dink, like, gets really mad and turns into, like, a monster. But even looking back at it, it's kind of like tame, like, kind of like a slightly monster version of himself. Like, I think he got almost like a werewolf, but green and stuff like that with claws, or I don't know. Definitely not as scary as I'm saying it out to be. But I remember this, like, thing the neighbor turning into a monster, getting mad at them. That, like, scared me and all that. Maybe because I thought as a dumb kid that people can do that. I don't know. But also some scary stuff I thought about is the Rugrats one. This too, I think in general when people think of Rugrats, like the classic old Rugrats cartoon, is the myth of if you eat a watermelon seed, it'll grow a watermelon in your belly and it'll explode. That was with Chucky. They had like a little daydream of like the watermelon like growing and growing and all that. It's very tamely animated, but I remember getting scared about eating watermelon seeds. Also, one I think it's more like creepy, scary is that there was the episode where Angelica her parents were looking to maybe having another kid and all that. So she had like the daydream of having me nightmares. I forget exactly how to set up. I haven't watched those in quite some time. But like the brother, like all of a sudden became this really big, ugly baby and stuff like that. And like the scary part is like he was about to eat Angelica, like oh nom noms and like all that. So I think I'm doing a really crappy job summarizing it, but I think Angelica, like, imagining, like, her baby brother, like, eating her and stuff like that. Maybe it was just me being scared before. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But, yeah, let me know in the comments. And then also, I talk about people like to like scary cartoons that scarred me. I hear the Courage the Cowardly Dog often, but maybe it was just because by the time that show came out, I was a little bit older, but that I never had any issues with Courage. I know a lot of the episodes, like some of the one-time characters, stuff like that can be really eerie, like the Return to Slab, or I don't know, very surreal. Like you don't realize like how weird like some of the mixed media stuff they did, which is very interesting. Like they did some CG with it. I think they did like live action too, but I honestly never felt scary or weird or uncomfortable with Courage the Cowardly Dog. So maybe just because at that point I'm like, okay, I would love that show. That's if you haven't watched that, definitely check out Courage the Cowardly Dog. God, I still haven't seen. I know they did what a year or so ago, Courage and Scooby Doo movie, which seems pretty cool too. But I know both of the, I think yeah, pretty both the voice actors of the old couple, Eustace and Mariel, passed away unfortunately. But really good show. I think it's great. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about this podcast is Pride Month, since it's uh, June and it's officially Pride Month. And not that I kind of give away the previous segments on this podcast or all that, but I'm a gay guy, so I guess this kind of reflects or affects me in a way. And I don't know, I think it's just fine. Like, it's kind of weird just how long it's been going on. It feels like Pride Month is just pretty much a month where on social media all these companies change their logos to a rainbow version of it and support and ally. And I think that's cool, but also it's also kind of a way to like, hey, would companies give us money kind of thing. I don't see like too much shilling out. I don't know. Maybe because I'm in my little bubbles as well. I don't see like too much of the grossness in terms of like, oh, we're pro gay, so buy our products kind of thing. But I think it's more like maintaining image and all that. And it's kind of weird because I see like a lot of stuff. I think the good example I can think of recently is the Oreos, because I thought, I see like I like the social media post as well. Like I think sometimes like the media they have like a rainbow cream cookie, but they don't actually sell it. Like I saw the package, it's kind of like a white package. It has like maybe a few rainbows like quotes on it. So it's like they're in support of pride and all that LGBT. But they don't have rainbow cookies. Like, come on, make rainbow cookies. I think that's a lot of it too. Like either just changing the logo or putting a rainbow on it, on the packaging. And some stuff like I'm not too big a fan on that's like too obvious or blunt when it comes to like LGBT. Like I never cared too much about like the love wins or love is love and stuff like that. That kind of like spells it out on a T-shirt or a mug or whatever. Maybe it's a love thing because the thing about me is that I just can't fall in love because it's kind of personal, but just to get out there, I can't fall in love because I have two left feet. So, yeah. But yeah, I think some of the stuff is kind of cool. It's actually funny. One of my shirts I really like is like a rainbow shirt, but I don't think it was like a pride thing. It was like a shirt they had. Although I do have like one like basketball like jersey that says Team Pride, and like I liked it enough. Like I kind of wish it didn't say Team Pride, like it was just a rainbow jersey. But that's one thing. Like I don't like the like obvious like shilling and all that. I think the one thing, like my biggest issue with Pride Month is that I feel like once it's over, like everything resets. That these companies revert back. Like okay, we'll change your logos back. So I just feel like, hey, we're pro gay. Support us supporting you. Give us money, buy your products and stuff like that. So I almost feel like they're being pro gay because it's like the hip or cool thing to do. And a lot of times, I'm sure a lot of companies, generally support and donate and all that. Actually, looking like one company I can think of a lot is Absolute Vodka, because I've seen some of the bottles. I even have one of the rainbow bottles right on my shelf. I feel like if these companies like constantly keep it up and all that, it's really cool. But it feels like, hey, it's that time of year, that month where we have to look good for the LGBTQ plus whatever and all that. And then once this month done, like, okay, we can do business as usual. I think one company that kind of like, and I like the company too because I just mentioned them earlier, but I think like Disney's really wishy-washy with it because there's a lot of stuff like with censorship and entertainment, like with movies and TV shows and stuff like that. I feel like Disney really backpedals on that. Like, if you remember that movie Onward, like, there were, like, maybe like a BuzzFeed article, like, oh, they have an LGBT lesbian character. And then it was, like, dumbed down to, like, one ad-lib line. I think got censored in other countries. And I think part of it is, like, hey, the really big higher-ups, the powers that may be, have controlled that. But I feel like, fuck these countries that, like, don't want LGBTQ in the movies or TV show. And I don't know. I'm sure there's videos on YouTube. You can read articles. I feel like China, Russia, or some big ones. I think some in the Middle East, or maybe even some African countries too. Like really crack down, like almost ban shows to have episodes cut or edited down, and all that. So one thing I want to end this podcast with is one of my favorite like fuck yous when it comes to censorship and LGBT is the show Steven Universe, and you know I know it feels like it's a lot of pro LGBT, maybe pro lesbian. Have fun. I don't want to get like too in depth into like the shows, the content, all that. I think it has a lot of like lesbian because the characters in the show, like the gems. I think I read before that they don't really have a gender per se, but a lot of times, I think like pretty all instances, maybe like in like maybe like a mobile game or something like that, you might find differences, but like all the gym characters are female in terms of their appearance and mannerisms, so they're very feminine. I think they use feminine pronouns like she and her and all that. Like Steven's mom was a gym, and all that, and it shows like romantic feelings and all that. But one of the characters, Garnet, and it's kind of a Steven Universe spoiler, though I don't think you'd be spoiled if you come across my. It's a big enough show, so I don't think I'm really spoiling anything. Now, one of the characters, Garnet, is actually turns out a fusion of two gems, Ruby and Sapphire. Again, both like female in terms of like the voices, at least in the American area of the show. But in some countries, I think like Russia or some countries are known to make one of the characters like a boy, because Ruby is kind of a tomboyish kind of character anyway. So it's like, oh, that's easy to kind of make a voice and change pronouns to kind of like make them a heterosexual couple versus like a lesbian couple. Again, I don't think they're like too specific with the genders of the characters in terms of the gym, but they usually like she, her, so it's like a lot of like LGBT representation, which I think is pretty cool too. This is one of my favorite things about the story about the show is that it's pretty much for argument's sake, Ruby and Sapphire are a lesbian couple, but they get censored in other countries where they make Ruby a boy just because their appearance is easy to do so. But this episode, like they get married, like I forget the setup. Like CM talks about marriage and stuff like that. So it's kind of like more formally, like even though they've been in a long relationship with each other, like kind of like making it official. And at the wedding ceremony, they made the character Ruby wear a wedding dress, and a character Sapphire, who is more of a female-looking character. Like she has long hair, so she kind of like more appearance-wise is female, wear a tuxedo. And like, how can you like censor that or edit that? I think sometimes you just like cut out the episodes or other episodes. It kind of like fucks with the story as well. But I thought it was like fun. Like, fuck you for making this character a tomboy, even though they're per se a female girl. Put them in a dress and all that. So I think that's pretty funny, and I think it's a funny tidbit on the show. But I think going back to Pride Month, I don't know, if it makes company money, then good on them. But I don't know if they like oh, we're going to donate to certain charities like the Trevor Project or Human Rights Campaign or other things as well. But it's kind of weird, maybe just because it's just the beginning of quote unquote Pride Month. But I haven't really seen much appealing wise. Like, again, I like the more subtle stuff, like, hey, slap a rainbow and that's it, but you don't have to say, like, love is love, LGBT, blah, blah, blah. This big, good quite. But I really wish if Oreos actually made rainbow cream Oreos, I would fucking live for that. But no, they just have stupid packaging. But still gonna eat my Oreos. Like, anyways, but I think that will do it for enough rambling for this podcast. So thanks for listening and all that. Again, best way to support me in the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all that. Gaming as well. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. And have a good day, night, or wherever you are, whenever you are. Just have a good time. Bye.